Morning, everybody, and welcome to the OK Grognard Show. It is Friday, September 18th, 2020, 9:30 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. It's Friday, so it's Building Adventures Day. And not last week, but the week before, we had a part 3 of digging in deep into the first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, Appendix A, Random Dungeon Generation. Uh, Generation? I don't know. Anyway, either way, it's Appendix A, and that rhymes, so that's cool. And the DMG is the goods, no matter how you slice it. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to hop right in. We're not going to waste any time, because that's not the way I am. Not a time wasting guy. What do we got there? We were on to table 5, G, Treasure. Now check this out. A full quarter of the time, if you roll without a monster, you're going to get 1,000 copper pieces per level of the dungeon you are on. Notice you're also supposed to see these other tables, because it's not just this. This is just some of what you might get. So VH, VI, and VJ. VJ. Okay. Silver pieces, Electrum. I don't use Electrum. 250 gold, 100 platinum per level. With monsters, you take 2 rolls on without monsters and add 10% to the total of each roll, so you're pushing it up. Only a 15% chance of copper each roll of 2 on this table if there's a monster or was a monster in that room. So there you go. Big chance. Big treasure. I think I've mentioned this before. I just used a straight up decimal system where 1 platinum equals 10 gold equals 100 silver equals 1,000 copper. It's simple. It speeds things up. The whole economy behind every equipment table I've ever seen in every version of D&D has always been crazy guesswork, sort of. Sometimes there's relations between like materials, but for the most part, it's an arbitrary sort of system that doesn't require you to have a complicated. And I know it's not that complicated to have Electrum or have things not be 10 to 1, 10 to 1, 10 to 1. Nevertheless, it's more complicated than just having it be 1,000, 100, 10, and 1 copper, silver, gold, platinum. That's just simpler. There's no doubt about it. And if you want to redo the equipment tables and reprice everything, more power to you. They weren't right to begin with, so anything you change them to can't be much more wrong. So have at it. And I'm not saying this anything against first edition. This has been true through every edition of D&D and every other retro clone and like-minded style game. Maybe the closest that has ever found a way to do something with some common sense or some reason would be Harn, which at least tried to codify things based on some sort of a historical. And let's face it, medieval fantasy is not historical. Once you introduce magic into a setting, all bets are off as far as how the economy is going to work, because it just changes everything, right? Uh, to varying degrees, depending on how much magic there is. Nevertheless, blah, blah, blah. But Harn, at least, it's my understanding they took the great census after 1066. William the Conqueror went around and had his people count every chicken, every pig, every cow, every coin, every field, every acre, and figured out what everybody had so that when he was rewarding his nobles that helped him conquer and deciding who got what, well, you brought this many men, well, you can have this much of the territory here to govern. And so he put people in charge of various areas based on how much they helped and with some sort of a way of doing it equitably. And anyway, since all that was written down, the Domesday Book was able to be used to then extrapolate a sort of economic system for Harn. So that's pretty good. But of course, it's not without its own complications. If you really want to do that much bookkeeping in a action-packed medieval fantasy role-playing game, well, more power to you. Not going to find me spending that much time crunching the numbers. I like to have some fun. I like to think about what's going on with encounters and all of that. Anyway, treasure's still nice. So there's how you roll for treasure. So if you roll a 90 and add 10%, you're in that top 3%, would get you on the magic item table. But what's it contained in? Well, roll a d20. Might just be loose on the ground. Iron trunks, stone containers, metal urns, pottery jars, a little more delicate for carrying around, huge chests, small coffer, chests, sacks, bags. Easy enough. There is a direction here to go elsewhere to determine protection if desired. So, is it guarded? What's it guarded by? How's it guarded? Poisonous insects or reptiles living inside the container? Well, what would be a jar in a pyramid tomb unless it had some scorpions in it, right? Gas released upon opening the container. Doesn't have to be an all or nothing death save killing gas. Certainly if you want a lower level adventure to include something that just knocks people out. Happy Friday, Hobbs. How you doing, buddy? You got contact poison on the container or on the treasure. Imagine that. You go to check that coin and you stick contact poison directly into your glove. That would not be good. Poison needles in lock, in handles. Whoop, go to grab the handles. Boink. A little needle comes shooting out of the bottom of the handle where you pick it up when you put the pressure on the picking it up. Spring darts firing from the front of the container, firing up from the top of the container, firing up from inside the bottom of the container. Blade scything across inside. Just reading this table would help anybody, new DM especially, in describing how traps might work. Trapdoor opening in front of container. So, if it's not on the map, add that chute down 2 levels. Trapdoor opening 6 feet in front of container, so anybody who's standing back behind you, boom. Stone block dropping in front of container. Spears released from walls when container is open. That is painful. Explosive runes, always a good time. Symbol, well, that could do just about anything nasty to you. What about, gosh, you know what we used to use when we were younger and more adventurous in our D&D, I think, was, you don't see this at conventions and game days so much because if it's not in a continuing campaign game, this doesn't really work out so well. It's not a curse, but a geas or a quest spell, either of which, well, you can get them reversed, but it'll cost you, and maybe you don't have the money. Maybe you do it on somebody who is lower level and doesn't have the wherewithal to get it done. But you send somebody on a mission to go get something. Maybe there's a covered mirror in in the chambers of some wizard who knows somebody will look. Because how can you not, right? Is there a painting behind it? Is it a mirror? I can see there's a frame. Fling back the tapestry or the cloth or whatever, and you look into the mirror, and boom, you're hit with a quest. You've got to go get some basilisk horns or claws or some other item that might be useful to this wizard and bring it back to him. So suddenly you're working for somebody because you stuck your nose in something you shouldn't have. Or maybe you get out of it and go after them. Either way, conflict, adventure, lots of fun. Table VJ, treasure is hidden by /in, roll a d20, and you've got 1 to 3 invisibility. So it's just sitting there. Unless you wander around the room, if you just look and you don't see something and you don't search, then you may never know it's in there. Illusion, to change or hide the appearance of something. Make a chest look like an old pile of rags or dung. Secret space under container. So you got this chest and you don't bother moving it because you open it, there's nothing inside it. You find out later, if you just moved it over 2 feet, there was a whole bunch of gold in an open space right underneath it. Inside, ordinary item in plain view. So maybe there's a candle, and it's been molded around a stack of platinum coins. Just something simple. Nobody takes that candle. And platinum just stays there forever. What about disguised to appear as something else? All right, well, maybe there's a cloak of protection that's just thrown over a piece of furniture like it's a dust covering. Underneath a heap of trash or dung, well, we kind of just covered that. Under a loose stone in the floor, well, it could be in a hole under something else, but you can also have a covering, like not a trapdoor per se, but just a loose stone, a flagstone picks up, or a loose board in a wooden floor, for instance, behind a loose stone in the wall. Absolutely. CSP Chris just came up with this wonderful little puzzle. You should go check out Crooked Staff and see the puzzle that he talks about on his website. It's really fantastic. And it's a good one. And when we ran across it, we opened it up so we could find some treasure behind it too. In a secret room nearby. So what's the old trope where there's a bookshelf and a bunch of books and they're kind of mundane, but we're going to look through them anyway, and we start moving them around. We move one of them and we hear a click, and behind us we see a little panel on a wall open up, and in there is where the real treasure is. So those are lots of ways to stash treasures. Uh-oh, these guys are in trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trolls. That's trouble. And to continue with the rest of the building adventures thing, we talked about how you could use this entire appendix to create a dungeon on the fly, or create one if you just want to do it so randomly that you're not putting your own bias into it. You're doing everything by the tables, and when it says you can only go one way or the other, roll a die, let it be totally random. Stairs, ascending, descending. On 1 to 5, it's down 1 level. That's on a d20, so 25%, you're just going down a level. Going down 2 levels, going down 3 levels, up 1 level. So a lot more going down than up. Um, Up to a dead end, 1 in 6 chance to shoot down 2 levels. So you go up the stairs thinking you're finally getting out of the place. You get to the top of the stairs and down the chute, and instead of getting out, you're down 2 levels, and now you're facing even deadlier beasts. Down to a dead end with another chute going down a level. Chimney up 1 level. Passage continues. Check again 30 feet. Chimney up 2 levels. Passage continues. And when they say chimney, they're talking in the natural sense, in the cavernous sense. So these aren't necessarily. I mean, they can be, but they aren't necessarily like built chimneys in a home that would rise from a fireplace. These are openings that head upward. Usually for airflow, they were probably carved out by water at some stage when the cavern or cave or whatever was natural here was originally. Now, if this is a built-up section, well, when they were cutting in and making the tunnel and fashioning it, well, they came across a natural opening that goes up higher, and they just have to keep building. So they could cover it up, I suppose, but there's something to be said for airflow, right? Chimney down 2 levels. And these are things you can squeeze into or carry along or move through. I think, generally speaking, and you have to make this decision on your own. It's up to you. When they say there are chimneys or things like this, they should be passable. Even if it's a squeeze, they should be passable. There should be other cracks and crevices that have some airflow that you'd never be able to squeeze through, even if you used like reduction spells, maybe in gaseous form. But there should be some airflow in all existing dungeons like this. Otherwise, things couldn't live. Carbon dioxide would build up and everything would be dead, which is okay if you want everything to be dead. But we got trapdoors down a level, trapdoor down 2 levels, up 1, then down 2, chamber at the end. So those go all over the place. Tricks and traps. Again, a D20. Secret door, unless unlocated. Non-elves locate 3 and 20. Elf locates 5 and 20. Magic device 18 and 20. Unlocated secret doors go to D6, 7 below. So 6 to 7 is a pit. 10 feet deep, 3 and 6 to fall in. Pit 10 feet deep with spikes, 3 and 6 to fall in. 20 by 20 elevator room. Elevator rooms always will mess up people trying to keep track of maps because they never know how far up or down they've gone. As 9, that is another elevator room but descends 2 levels. Elevator room as above but descends 2 to 5 levels. 1 upon entering, and 1 additional level each time an unsuccessful attempt at door opening is made or until it descends as far as it can. This will not ascend for 60 turns. 600 minutes, that's what, 10 hours? Crazy. Wall 10 feet behind slides across passage, blocking it for 4 to 60 turns. So one wonders about these kind of things. Who makes these things and puts them into dungeons? Well, of course, the old trope of the mad mage, the crazed wizard who's just building something, knowing that someday someone will come across it even after he's gone, for his own delight and amusement, he builds this crazy dungeon that has all of these sliding traps and passages. And, well, you can try to explain a lot of this stuff and fail many, many times. Or you can just accept that it exists and let it be part of the craziness that it is. And who says it's all built by one person anyway? Maybe it's been added on to over centuries of time. Certainly long-lived dwarves and elves who might be involved in something like this, more so dwarves or gnomes maybe, have plenty of time over the course of their lives to spend messing with something like this for some entity who has put them to the task and is making sure that they are compensated. Oil equal to 1 flask pours on random person from hole in ceiling, followed by flaming cinder. 2 to 12 hit points of damage unless save versus magic is made, which indicates only 1 to 3. Pit 10 feet, 3 to 6 fall in. Pit walls move together to crush victim in 2 to 5 rounds. We're down here with the rest of the garbage. Arrow trap, 1 to 3 arrows. 1 in 20 is poisoned. Spear trap, 1 to 3. Spears, 1 in 20 is poisoned. So you roll for each one, and on a 1, if you roll it on a 20-sider, it's a poisoned spear or poisoned arrow. Gas. Party has detected it, but must breathe it to continue along the corridor as it covers 60 feet ahead. Mark map accordingly, regardless of turning back or not. Door falls outward, causing 1 to 10 hit points, or stone falls from ceiling, causing 2 to 20 hit points of damage to each person failing a saving throw versus petrification. So, you always talk about how tough these doors are to open. Everything shifts and things get jammed and whatever. Well, sometimes these hinges break too, right? And you pull on a door and instead of opening up, it just flops down on top of you. Heavy stone door, 1 to 10 damage. Crushes your legs. That's gotta hurt. Illusionary wall, concealed 8. Pit above, concealing 8. 8 above being one of those pits. 1 to 6 or 20. Shoot below or chamber with monster and treasure. Illusionary wall can cover just about anything and make a room look like it's just a hallway. Any number of things. Shoot down 1 level, cannot be ascended in any manner. Gas subtable. Only effect is to obscure vision. Blinds for 1 to 6 turns, 1d6 after passing through. Fear, run back 120 feet unless save versus magic is made. Sleep. Party sound asleep for 2 to 12 turns as per a sleep spell. I don't believe that is meant to say that it has the restrictions of a sleep spell, but only it works in the same manner as far as how the sleep is. Not natural, and it lasts for 2 to 12 turns. Maybe you could say it only affects people in the same manner as a sleep spell. 14 to 18 strength adds 1d6 points of strength. As a strength spell to all fighters in the party for 1 to 10 hours. So there's something that actually helps people. Sickness, return to surface immediately. Poison, killed unless saving throw versus poison is made. Caves and caverns, for lowest levels, you may wish to have rough-hewn and natural tunnels in lower levels, and where rooms and chambers are indicated, substitute caves and caverns. Exits are as above. I'll tell you what, we're pretty far along in the show, so we're going to cut it short here. We're going to save caves and caverns and pools and lakes and magic pools for the next time. Random dungeon generation for solo play. Well, that's Appendix B. So this, well, you know what? Let's finish it up. Caves and Caverns, what do we got? A D20 here. We got 40 by 60, 50 by 75. Double caves, so we've got sort of a figure eight sort of thing going on there. Large, very large. Some of these are roll to see if there's a pool in them. Some of them are so big you roll to see if there's a lake. Mammoth cave. We've got a pool table here. Pool no monster, no pool. Pool monster and treasure. Pool magical pool. We've got lakes, lake with monsters, enchanted lakes. Here's our magic pool table. Turns gold to platinum, pretty nice, or lead, oops. One time only. Will, on a one time only basis, add 1 to 3 or 4 to 6, or add or subtract from a characteristic of all who stand within it. Strength, intelligence, all the ability scores. Add or subtract 1d3. Check for each character as to add or subtract and randomize which ability score. Talking pool, which will grant one wish to characters of its alignment and damage others 1 to 20 points. Wish can be withheld for up to 1 day pool's alignment. And then you roll a d20 to figure out what alignment the pool is. And then there's the transporter pool. 1d7 back to surface. Elsewhere on the level. A level down, 100 miles away for an outdoor adventure. In order to find out what they are, the characters must enter the magic pools. Well, that is it for Appendix A. So, yeah, I'm glad we chunked through the last little section here because we still have a couple of minutes and it's nice to finish up Part 4 rather than do a Part 5 with only a little chunk left. Lovely. Look at these. Oh, these salamanders. You don't want to mess with these fiery bastards. Still 5 members of the party. Very exciting. Tell you what, it's good time. That was A, random dungeon generation for solo play. Well, I'll tell you, you could do this random wilderness terrain for outdoor, just like you did for indoor with what we were just doing. And I've got a whole adventure matrix here. Oh, that's on C because that's when you do the random monsters. Maybe we will look at this solo play Appendix B next time. We'll think about it. Sounds like something to do. I'll tell you what. I want to thank everybody for popping in today. Very kind of you for spending some time with me. And I will say also that it's been a good time going through this DMG Appendix A. So happy to have done it. And I will also say, boom, it's a good time going through the first edition DMG. We'll look at more of it down the line as we get into other sections. What's going on with the schedule for the rest of the week, though? Well, it's just tomorrow, so it's GM reviews. And then on to next week with Rules Retrospective on Sunday. Monday is weekly news and announcements. We have cartography and world building on Tuesday, campaign discussion on Wednesday, GMing tips on Thursday, then back around to building adventures on Friday. So much fun. Once again, I say thank you for stopping in and checking out the stream. If you do that, you should always follow the Twitch channel and make sure to chime in on the stream chat, because once a week we give something away to somebody who's chimed in and proven they weren't a bot for us. That's the only reason we needed to chime in. We want to make sure you're not a bot. If you're catching up with this on YouTube, thank you for that too. And please do subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Maybe make a comment if you have some constructive criticism for us. It always helps to make the show better. I want to thank everybody for checking out the OK Grognard Show. Come check us out again at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow and every day from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.